Hello and welcome to Baking and Log. My name is Gunnar Larson and today I am joined by a very special guest. Today is Mother's Day and I thought it is only proper to have my own mother on the show today. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And what will we be making today?
We are making cinnamon rolls. Gunnar's favorite thing, as you all know, is cinnamon, and there's nothing better than waking up in the morning to the fresh aroma of cinnamon rolls. So that's what we're going to make today.
Yeah. So let's get started.
So the cast of ingredients that we're going to use are whole milk, a quart of that, and get the real whole milk. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe it's the fattiness of it, but we want whole milk. You'll need a cup of vegetable oil, a cup of sugar. You'll need some dry active yeast, 8 cups of flour, some baking powder, baking soda, and then the most important ingredients in the cinnamon rolls are lots of butter, plenty of butter, and the cinnamon. And the glaze has milk, powdered sugar, some maple flavoring, brewed coffee, and if you don't like the flavor of coffee and maple, you can substitute it out for vanilla instead. So it's like a white vanilla glaze on top of it.
All right, so let's get started.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is scald our milk. Scalding isn't burning the milk, it's heating the milk just before it boils. So you do want to watch this. Now, I've left it before and it's boiled and everything turns out fine, but scalding is really just getting the milk to a temperature right before it boils, right before you see the bubbles come up. So the first thing we're going to add is a quart of whole milk, and that's 4 cups. And everything really is made in this one pan. So you want a nice sturdy pan because we're going to mix everything up in this eventually. A cup of sugar, and then a cup of vegetable oil. And then Gunnar will just mix that together and we'll take it to the stove and we'll scald the milk. Once you scald the milk, remove it from the heat and you're going to let it cool for about 45 minutes. So go do something. It takes about 45 minutes. You want it to cool to room temperature to then proceed with the rest of the recipe. Yeah, good. You've got it mixed up thoroughly. We're going to scald the milk now.
All right, so now once this is cooled, we let it cool for 45 minutes. We're going to take the yeast and we're just going to sprinkle it over the mixture, and we're just gonna let this sit for about a minute or two. And Mom is pouring out the 8 cups of flour right now because we're gonna need that here in a bit. Okay, so before you add in your flour, we're just gonna take a spatula or a whisk and stir the yeast into the milk mixture. We're just gonna make sure that it's well combined.
Not lumpy. Yeah, no lumps.
And then Mom's gonna add in the 8 cups of flour. Stir this in.
And then you're going to put this in a warm place, cover it with a damp towel, and let it rise for about an hour.
Now that this has risen, we're going to add some flour, baking powder, and baking soda and salt to it. So
1 cup of flour.
1 cup of flour.
And a heaping teaspoon of baking powder. And then a scant teaspoon, just slightly, a teaspoon of baking soda. And then a tablespoon of salt. And then you're going to mix that all together. Now, at this point, you could cover it, put it in the refrigerator, and save it for later. It lasts up to 2 days. Or you can just go ahead and mix it up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this up and go ahead and roll out the cinnamon rolls. But this recipe doesn't require kneading for 10 minutes or working the dough a certain way. It's magic. And then we're going to work right from our kitchen bar. So we're going to flour the surface really, really well because we don't want the dough to stick. we're gonna melt 1.5 cups of real butter, and then 1 cup of sugar, and then I'm gonna let Gunnar put as much cinnamon on it as he wants. And then once we cut those and put them in the pan, we'll let them rise for about 20 to 30 minutes. Bake them at 375 for 20 minutes. While they're baking, we'll make our glaze, and then when they come out, we'll eat them. And you're gonna make, so you're gonna roll it out into a long rectangle, you know,
Okay.
longer than its width. Okay, so now we've melted, this is 2 sticks of butter, and you are just gonna, lay it on thick. And it's, it's gonna kinda, you can spread that around with your spatula. Yeah, try to keep it on the dough. And then, this is a cup of sugar. This is not a dietary or a diabetics recipe. Shake on as much cinnamon as you want to taste, but make long. Get all the way to the edge. Ooh, that smells good. Okay, now here is the tricky part, and it may take both of us at the same time. We're gonna roll towards us, and you wanna make it, small, keep it tight. And the cinnamon, the sugar, and the butter may ooze out of the ends. And that's okay. But you want to keep this all real tight. You don't want a gap in your, it is oozing out. And then, right away at the end, yeah. Kind of pinch it up a little bit. Oh, wow. Yum, 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 yum. Now, do we have any butter? No, we've got butter left. Now we're gonna pour that butter in our pan and really use our pan. Because you don't want it to stick, okay? And now, you're going to make these 1 inch wide. Does that look like about 1 inch?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And these aren't necessarily pretty grocery store bakery ones, but they will taste better than any grocery store bakery. So
butter's oozing out like
I
crazy.
know, isn't it? So you can always cut back on that if you want. So
Don't
then,
just start cutting the other ones.
you can cut the rest of them. And when you just place them just to almost touching in the pan, and they will bake for, I think 20 minutes. Ooh, yum. Okay, so we'll be back in 20 minutes. While the rolls are baking, the cinnamon rolls, 400 degrees for 15 to 18 minutes. We'll make the glaze. Now, remember I told you you could use brewed coffee and maple, I use maple syrup, maple flavoring, and that's just a different flavor to the frosting or the icing. But we're gonna do it without the coffee. Gunnar's not fond of the coffee flavor. So instead of the maple and
We'll still use maple.
Oh, you want to still use the maple?
Yeah.
Okay. So we just won't use the coffee.
Yeah.
So a bag of powdered sugar. Bag of powdered sugar. Do you want a bigger bowl? A deeper or a wider bowl? Okay. 1/2 cup of milk. We may add more because we're not using the coffee. A quarter cup of butter.
And then go get the maple syrup.
Yeah. And I'm just going to drizzle in some maple syrup. A pinch of salt, or 1/8 of a teaspoon. Was pretty good.
Yeah, it worked out.
And it landed in the bowl. You meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that.
And a teaspoon of vanilla, pure vanilla extract. Okay. You go ahead and mix that up. And then we just keep an eye on our consistency, and we'll add some more milk to get that nice drizzly glaze. And just show how this is the consistency that you want. It's like paint, you know, a fresh can of paint that hasn't sat for a year, and then you get it out to paint over the holes that you patched.
Yeah, that's what I want to think about when I'm making my frosting is old paint. Good image, Mom. Good image.
Well, old paint is thick and gloppy.
No, you're
You
right.
want
This is perfect.
a fresh can of paint.
Put some old paint all over our cinnamon rolls. That's great. Good job, Mom.
Okay, set this aside. We're gonna wait until our beeper goes off and the rolls are ready.
Yep. All right. So once these are out of the oven, quick tip: touch the middle just to make sure that they're cooked, because the middle ones are going to be the ones that you tell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we're just going to take some, not all, but some of our icing glaze, and we're just going to kind of drizzle it across. What?
That looks good. And get all around the edges and it'll ooze down. I can smell the maple and the vanilla.
Alright, so we just finished. They're all iced. Everything's done. We got them plated and we got some milk. Mom, you got the Bible verse or?
Yes. So just like you need patience for rising cinnamon rolls, you need patience with God's timing and what He delivers to you in your daily prayers. So be patient.
That was part of our sermon this morning.
And it's true.
And cheers.
Oh, yeah. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you, honey.
Yep, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Have
You know,
a-
you gave me my job.
Well, partly. I give you a third of it.
Yeah, you were the first one to give me my job. Oh my gosh.
Good.
Mm.
Yep. It's good.
Good job.
Alright, well, I'll see you guys all next week.